I was just out the other day and I kind of overheard a conversation. I thought it was like really interesting, and somebody was talking about they were given this very expensive bottle of wine, really expensive, and hundreds of dollars, and they weren't sure what they should do with it now. Like, what kind of event would be, worthy of them opening this bottle of wine? And my first immediate thought was, it sounds like the gospel to me, and I just started thinking about how, like, what kind of people would they invite over? Who would understand what it is that they're drinking? What kind of event would be worthy of serving this kind of wine? And I just started thinking about how God, our Father in heaven, he prepared this vintage wine, this love wine, and he started preparing it before this creation, before this world as we know it. And I read today about he's the vine and we're the branches, and Jesus said he is the vine and his Father is the husbandman, and he prunes the vines, and he says, any branch in me that isn't bearing fruit, my Father will prune it so it will bear more fruit. And Jesus said, here's the coolest thing Jesus said. He turned to his disciples and he said, you are already clean. You've already been purged. You've already been clean because of the word I spoke to you. And that was a comfort to my heart. I'm like, the word that Jesus speaks to us cleans us, purges us, trims, the vine. So we have that connection with him. He is the vine, we're the branch. And through that union with him, there is fruit. There's abundant fruit. There's mega abundant fruit. And it's effortless because it flows. It flows from him. He is the vine. Through us, we're the branches. We're connected with him. Anyways, well, I read that today, but before, when I heard this story, I'm thinking of God trying to prepare the world, and he picked a nation. He picked Israel, a very small nation, to prove himself faithful and to give a promise to mankind. And he needed somebody to believe. He needed Abraham, and Abraham believed, and that blessing, that belief was passed to his son Isaac, and Isaac became aware of this promise, and he entered in by a simple childlike faith. And then there's Jacob, and he's eventually changed into Israel. And then, but here is this nation flowing these blessings from God. And God took all these years, every story in the Bible, we have to keep a focus. We have to keep our focus that God is preparing the world to bring his son. He takes this nation, he takes individuals, and he makes them famous, but it's all because of his promise. And he takes them, and he works them over, and he massages them, and he corrects them, and he loves them, and he nurtures them. And by the time Christ is born, there's a handful of people that are preserved and ready. There's just a small handful. There's a handful of people, and these are the ones that he said he's going to pour out the promise. The promise is that Spirit, the Holy Spirit, is what he promised Abraham way back in the beginning. And so here we are with Jesus and his disciples, and they witness everything. They witness him, how he lives and walks and talks, but they witness him being crucified, and the horror of that. They run and hide in unbelief and disbelief. They're traumatized by this event, and yet he told them, he instructed them, go into Jerusalem and wait until the promise of my Father is poured out on you. And that is the wine. That is the new wine. It's the wine of the covenant, the new wine covenant in his blood that he poured out He poured it out on the day of Pentecost, and their response was like they were like intoxicated. They were drunk. They were full of joy. They were beside themselves with the manifest presence of God. And this is what he promised. On the day of Pentecost, he poured out his Spirit, and as far as I am concerned, and a lot of my friends are too, we don't believe that he has stopped pouring out his Spirit. So the party is on, and somehow God has made us able. He's made humanity, those who believe, those who enter in, those who receive like children, he's made them able to drink this wine. You have to be made able. And I hope you let him make you able to drink this love wine, because it's pure, it's holy, and it's completely intoxicating. And it's available to anybody, and it's free. He paid the price. So enjoy this love wine that he poured out.